Around 155 million years ago, the Earth was a dramatically different place, dominated by a diverse range of massive creatures. This was the late Jurassic period, an era where the land teemed with towering giants, both herbivorous and carnivorous. The atmosphere was heavy with the constant threat of survival. Massive predators like theropods, such as Allosaurus, roamed the land, always on the hunt for their next meal. These carnivores were apex predators, their sharp teeth and strong jaws designed for taking down large prey. On the other hand, the herbivores, such as the enormous sauropods, grazed across the vast landscapes, their long necks reaching high into the treetops to consume the plentiful vegetation of the time. Despite the constant presence of these predators, some herbivores developed unique and formidable defenses to ensure their survival. One such creature was the Stegosaurus. Although it wasn't the largest dinosaur of its time, this animal was one of the most fascinating and well-equipped for defense. Its reputation as a formidable opponent, even against larger predators, has earned it a special place in the annals of paleontology. In fact, the Stegosaurus is known for an extraordinary feat. It is the only dinosaur with fossil evidence proving that it killed a fully grown Allosaurus, a predator much larger than itself. This alone sets Stegosaurus apart as one of the most dangerous herbivores of the Jurassic period, demonstrating that size wasn't everything when it came to survival. The story of Stegosaurus begins with its discovery nearly 150 years ago. In the late 19th century, the famous paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh unearthed the first Stegosaurus fossils in the state of Colorado. At the time, the discovery of dinosaur fossils was still a relatively new phenomenon, and Marsh's find was both exciting and puzzling. The bones he uncovered were like nothing seen before, bizarre and challenging to interpret. At the time, paleontology was still a developing science, and the knowledge of dinosaur anatomy was limited. Because of the strange nature of the fossils, early interpretations of what Stegosaurus might have looked like were wildly inaccurate. One of the most prominent misconceptions came from Marsh himself, who initially believed that Stegosaurus was a type of aquatic animal. Due to the large plates found along its back, Marsh and his contemporaries theorized that Stegosaurus might have been a turtle-like creature, possibly using its plates as a form of protection while it floated in water. This was, of course, far from accurate, but it reflects the limitations of paleontology at the time. The name Stegosaurus, meaning roof lizard, also stems from an early misconception about its anatomy. Marsh originally believed that the plates on the back of Stegosaurus were arranged flat, much like roof tiles, hence the name. However, as more fossils were discovered and better preserved skeletons became available, paleontologists realized that these plates stood vertically, changing our understanding of this fascinating dinosaur. As more complete skeletons were uncovered in the following decades, paleontologists gradually pieced together a clearer and more accurate picture of Stegosaurus's appearance and behavior, showing that it was not an aquatic creature, but rather a land-dwelling herbivore that was well adapted to its environment. In terms of its physical appearance, Stegosaurus was truly a remarkable dinosaur. It was a quadrupedal herbivore, meaning it walked on all four legs with a body that was covered in distinctive features. Perhaps the most recognizable characteristic of Stegosaurus is the double row of large plate-like structures running down its back. These plates, which were made of bone, stood upright and extended from the neck all the way to the tail. While their exact function is still debated, they gave the dinosaur a unique and somewhat armored appearance. Beyond the plates, one of the most significant features of Stegosaurus was its tail, which was armed with 4 long pointed spikes. This arrangement of tail spikes is called a thagomizer, and it was one of the animal's most effective defensive tools. The thagomizer could swing with incredible force, and the sharp spikes were capable of causing serious injury or even death to predators. While Stegosaurus was primarily a plant eater, its thagomizer was a powerful deterrent against would-be attackers. Stegosaurus wasn't just a single species either. Over time, paleontologists have identified several distinct species within the genus, including Stegosaurus stenops, Stegosaurus ungulatus, and Stegosaurus sulcatus. These species, while similar, had noticeable differences, particularly in the shape and arrangement of their plates and spikes. Stegosaurus stenops, for example, had broad, short plates, while Stegosaurus ungulatus had taller plates and a longer body. The variations between species suggest that different types of Stegosaurus may have had slightly different roles or lived in slightly different environments within the late Jurassic ecosystem. In terms of size, Stegosaurus was a fairly large dinosaur, though not as enormous as some of its contemporaries like the giant sauropods. In rare cases, Stegosaurus could grow up to 30 feet long, which is comparable to some of today's largest land animals, such as elephants. Despite its size, however, Stegosaurus was relatively lightweight for a dinosaur, likely weighing between 5 to 7 tons. This balance of size and weight made it large enough to deter many predators, but not so massive that it was slow or cumbersome. Its body was perfectly suited for survival in the diverse and challenging environment of the late Jurassic. One of the most fascinating aspects of Stegosaurus is its remarkable defensive capabilities, which made it a formidable adversary for even the largest predators of its time. Chief among these defenses was its tail, which featured 4 long, sharp spikes in a formation known as a thagomizer. The thagomizer was not merely for show. It was an incredibly effective weapon, capable of delivering devastating blows to any predator that dared to attack. Unlike the tails of many other herbivorous dinosaurs, which were primarily used for balance or communication, the Stegosaurus's tail was a powerful, offensive tool. Fossil evidence strongly suggests that Stegosaurus used its tail spikes in combat. In fact, one of the most significant discoveries in paleontology was the fossil of an Allosaurus, a large theropod and one of Stegosaurus's primary predators, with a hole in its vertebra that perfectly matched the size and shape of a Stegosaurus tail spike. This fossil provides a rare and compelling glimpse into the violent interactions between predators and prey in the Jurassic period. The injury to the Allosaurus's vertebra was severe enough that it likely caused the predator's death, showing that Stegosaurus, despite being a plant eater, was fully capable of defending itself against even the most dangerous carnivores of the time. The force with which Stegosaurus could swing its tail has been the subject of much study. Due to the muscular structure at the base of the tail, it is believed that the dinosaur could deliver strikes with tremendous speed and precision, targeting the soft, vulnerable areas of a predator's body. The spikes themselves, sometimes reaching up to 3 feet in length, were likely sharp enough to pierce through skin, muscle, and bone. This makes the thagomizer one of the most effective natural weapons in the animal kingdom of the Jurassic period. In addition to its tail spikes, Stegosaurus had another lesser-known defensive feature: gular armor. This bony material, located under its neck, provided extra protection to one of the most vulnerable parts of its body. Predators, like Allosaurus, often targeted the neck or throat when attacking herbivores, as these areas were generally less protected and could lead to a quick kill. The gular armor of Stegosaurus, however, would have made such attacks much more difficult, acting as a shield to deflect bites or slashes to its throat. This added layer of protection further enhanced Stegosaurus's ability to survive in a world filled with dangerous carnivores, making it clear that while it wasn't the fastest or the largest dinosaur, it was far from defenseless. While the tail spikes and gular armor are often the most talked about aspects of Stegosaurus's defensive adaptations, the plates on its back have long been a source of fascination and debate. Early paleontologists initially thought that these plates were primarily used for defense, possibly as a form of armor to protect the Stegosaurus from predators. However, this theory has largely been debunked, as the plates were not particularly strong or thick enough to serve as effective armor. Instead, the more widely accepted hypothesis today is that the plates had other, more subtle functions. One theory is that the plates were used for thermoregulation. The plates contained a complex network of blood vessels, which suggests that they may have helped the dinosaur regulate its body temperature. During the day, the plates could absorb heat from the sun, warming the dinosaur's body in cooler conditions. Conversely, the plates could also help dissipate heat by allowing blood to flow closer to the surface, cooling the dinosaur in hot environments. This kind of biological adaptation would have been incredibly useful in the varied and sometimes extreme climates of the late Jurassic period. Another intriguing theory is that the plates may have been used for display purposes. The large size and distinctive shape of the plates could have made Stegosaurus more visually imposing, especially during interactions with other members of its species or potential predators. Some scientists even believe that Stegosaurus could change the color of its plates by flushing blood into them, creating a dramatic visual display that could signal aggression, attract mates, or deter predators. This kind of visual signaling is not uncommon in the animal kingdom today. For example, certain species of lizards and birds use similar strategies to communicate and establish dominance. Though the exact purpose of the plates remains somewhat speculative, it is clear that they played an important role in the life of Stegosaurus. Whether for temperature regulation, display, or a combination of both, these plates were one of the most striking features of this already remarkable dinosaur, and they contributed to its ability to thrive in the challenging environments of the Jurassic period. Despite the Stegosaurus's impressive physical adaptations, one aspect of its biology has often been a point of ridicule: its brain. In relation to its body size, Stegosaurus had an exceptionally small brain, often described as being no larger than a walnut. For an animal that could reach lengths of up to 30 feet, this small brain has led to the widespread belief that Stegosaurus was not particularly intelligent, and some have even speculated that it was among the least intelligent dinosaurs to roam the Earth. For many years, paleontologists believed that Stegosaurus's limited brain power meant it was slow, both physically and mentally, and likely operated primarily on instinct rather than any kind of complex behavior. This has led to the popular image of Stegosaurus as a slow, dim-witted dinosaur that relied more on its physical defenses than any kind of strategy or social interaction. Adding to this notion was the theory that Stegosaurus might have had a second brain. This idea arose when paleontologists discovered a large canal in the dinosaur's hip region. Early interpretations of this canal led some scientists to believe that Stegosaurus had a second brain located near its hips to help control its massive body, as its small cranial brain was thought to be insufficient for such a large creature. This second brain, according to the theory, would have been responsible for coordinating movement in the hind limbs and tail, giving Stegosaurus the ability to react more quickly to threats. However, this theory has since been debunked. What paleontologists originally thought might be a second brain was actually a structure known as a glycogen body, a feature also found in modern birds. The glycogen body is a storage area for energy, and while it may have played a role in helping Stegosaurus manage its large body, it was not a brain in any sense. The idea of a second brain, though captivating, has no basis in fact, and modern paleontology has firmly rejected this early misconception. Even with its small brain, it is important not to underestimate Stegosaurus. While it may not have been the most intelligent dinosaur, its adaptations for survival were well suited to its environment. The size of its brain did not necessarily prevent it from thriving in the late Jurassic. After all, Stegosaurus was a species that existed for millions of years, coexisting with some of the most dangerous predators the Earth has ever seen. Its ability to adapt, defend itself, and live in herds or groups indicates that while it may not have been a mental giant, it was far from a helpless creature. The idea that Stegosaurus might have lived and traveled in herds is an intriguing one, offering insight into its social behavior and survival strategies. Fossilized trackways, which preserve the footprints of multiple dinosaurs, provide strong evidence to suggest that Stegosaurus may not have been a solitary animal. These trackways show the footprints of several individuals moving in the same direction, indicating that they likely traveled together. While Stegosaurus was a heavily armored dinosaur with formidable defenses, traveling in a group would have provided additional protection from the numerous predators that roamed the late Jurassic landscape. Herd behavior is common in many modern herbivores, such as elephants and bison, where individuals gain safety in numbers. In a Stegosaurus herd, the larger adults could have acted as protectors, positioning themselves around the more vulnerable juveniles, creating a living wall of spikes and plates that would deter even the boldest predators. This type of social structure would have increased the survival rates of younger Stegosaurus, who would have been easy prey for large carnivores like Allosaurus if they had been alone. In addition, herding would have allowed Stegosaurus to cover more ground when searching for food, which was especially important in the semi-arid environments where they lived. Moreover, traveling in groups could have facilitated communication and cooperation among individuals. While Stegosaurus may not have been the most intelligent dinosaur, living in a herd would have required some level of coordination, especially when moving across the landscape or reacting to threats. Though there is no direct fossil evidence of complex social interactions, the presence of trackways suggests that Stegosaurus likely engaged in basic forms of communication, whether through visual signals using their plates or vocalizations. These behaviors would have helped to alert the group to danger or signal the presence of food, further contributing to their survival. Stegosaurus, despite its armored defenses and powerful tail spikes, was a herbivore relying on plant material for its sustenance. Its diet likely consisted of low-growing vegetation, as its body structure suggests that it fed close to the ground. Unlike the long-necked sauropods, which could reach the tops of trees, Stegosaurus's shorter neck and head were better suited for grazing on ferns, mosses, cycads, and conifers. The beak-like structure at the front of its mouth would have been ideal for cropping tough plant material, while the cheek teeth, though small and relatively simple, would have allowed it to grind and process the fibrous plants of the Jurassic period. The late Jurassic was a time of lush vegetative growth, but it was also a time of environmental challenges. Stegosaurus lived in what is now known as the Morrison Formation, a vast expanse of land that stretched across much of western North America. This region was semi-arid, with seasonal rainfall and long periods of drought. The vegetation would have been dense in certain areas, particularly around rivers and floodplains, but in drier regions, plant life was more sparse. Stegosaurus's ability to consume a wide variety of plant materials would have given it an advantage in these environments, allowing it to survive in both wet and dry seasons by adapting its diet to whatever plant resources were available. The fossil record shows that Stegosaurus was not confined to a single area. Fossils have been found not only in North America, but also in parts of Europe. This geographic distribution indicates that Stegosaurus roamed across vast areas, and the continents at the time were much closer together than they are today. The presence of Stegosaurus fossils in multiple locations suggests that the dinosaur was highly adaptable to different environments, thriving in a range of habitats across the late Jurassic world. Stegosaurus shared its environment with a wide array of other dinosaurs and animals. Some of the most famous and fearsome predators of the Jurassic period, such as Allosaurus, lived alongside Stegosaurus, constantly posing a threat to its survival. Allosaurus was the top predator of the Morrison Formation and likely targeted juvenile or weakened Stegosaurus individuals whenever possible. However, as mentioned earlier, the defensive adaptations of Stegosaurus made it a difficult prey item, and many Allosaurus likely suffered injuries or even death in attempts to bring down a fully grown Stegosaurus. In addition to predators, Stegosaurus coexisted with other herbivorous dinosaurs, such as the massive sauropods Apatosaurus and Diplodocus. These giants, with their long necks and tails, would have been a common sight in the same environment. While Stegosaurus fed on low-lying plants, these sauropods fed on taller vegetation, meaning they likely coexisted without much competition for food. Other herbivores, such as Camptosaurus, also lived alongside Stegosaurus, further diversifying the ecosystem of the Morrison Formation. The environment of the Morrison Formation was challenging, with periodic droughts that could devastate plant life and force herbivores to move vast distances in search of food and water. Despite these harsh conditions, Stegosaurus thrived for millions of years. Its ability to survive in such a tough environment is a testament to its adaptability and resilience. However, like all dinosaurs of its time, Stegosaurus eventually faced extinction. Although it disappeared before the end of the Jurassic period, the exact reasons for its extinction are still debated among paleontologists. One theory is that environmental changes, such as a shift in climate or the rise of new predators and competitors, may have played a role in the decline of Stegosaurus. As the late Jurassic gave way to the Cretaceous period, the ecosystems of the world began to change, and Stegosaurus may have been unable to adapt quickly enough to these new conditions. Additionally, competition from other herbivorous dinosaurs, such as the more advanced ornithopods, could have contributed to its extinction. These newer herbivores may have been more efficient at feeding or better suited to the changing environments, gradually pushing Stegosaurus out of its ecological niche. Despite its eventual extinction, Stegosaurus has left an indelible mark on the field of paleontology. As one of the most recognizable dinosaurs, it has captured the imagination of people for generations. Its distinctive plates and tail spikes, combined with its unique defensive adaptations, have made it an iconic symbol of the prehistoric world. Stegosaurus is often one of the first dinosaurs that people learn about as children, and it continues to be a favorite subject in museums, books, and films. Beyond its popular appeal, Stegosaurus has contributed significantly to our understanding of dinosaur biology and behavior. Its fossilized remains have provided important clues about how herbivorous dinosaurs defended themselves, interacted with predators, and lived in complex environments. The discovery of combat evidence, such as the fossilized remains of an Allosaurus with a Stegosaurus spike lodged in its vertebra, has offered rare and valuable insight into the predator-prey dynamics of the Jurassic period. These discoveries help us better understand not only Stegosaurus, but also the broader ecosystems in which it lived. In conclusion, Stegosaurus was far more than just another plant-eating dinosaur. It was a highly specialized and well-adapted creature, capable of surviving in the challenging environments of the late Jurassic through its unique combination of physical defenses, social behaviors, and dietary flexibility. Its tail spikes, plates, and gular armor made it one of the most formidable herbivores of its time, and its ability to fend off predators like Allosaurus only adds to its impressive legacy. Today, Stegosaurus remains one of the most iconic and well-loved dinosaurs, symbolizing the incredible diversity and complexity of life during the age of the dinosaurs. Its story is a testament to the remarkable adaptations that allowed herbivorous dinosaurs to thrive alongside some of the most dangerous predators the world has ever known.